Life is never kind to everyone. For Ethan, a 17-year-old boy living in London, life felt like a constant cycle of failure. His grades were poor, he had no friends who truly believed in him, and every time he returned home from school, he carried the weight of shame on his shoulders. The whispers of teachers and the laughter of classmates haunted him like shadows he couldn't escape. He wasn't lazy, nor was he careless. He tried again and again, but every attempt seemed to end in disappointment. Every time he opened a book, his mind filled with the voices. You're useless, Ethan. You'll never achieve anything. Look at you, just a failure. His father, once a man of patience, had grown tired of Ethan's struggles. You need to face reality, he said one night at dinner. Not everyone is made for success. His mother stayed silent, her silence cutting deeper than any harsh words. Ethan locked himself in his room that night, staring at the ceiling. His chest felt heavy, and for the first time, he wondered if the world would be better off without him. The darkness whispered that maybe giving up was easier than carrying this endless burden. But deep inside, a small spark refused to die. It was weak, almost invisible, but it was there. The next morning, Ethan woke up with swollen eyes, but something had shifted. He remembered his grandmother's words. Even the strongest trees bend before the storm, but they never break. Don't you dare break, Ethan. That sentence replayed in his mind like a lifeline. He realized he couldn't control what others said, but he could control how he responded. He started small, waking up early, writing his goals on a notebook, cutting off distractions. But most importantly, he began visiting the public library after school. The smell of old books, the silence, the rows of knowledge, it became his sanctuary. There, he met Mr. Collins, an elderly librarian. One day, seeing Ethan buried in a pile of books, Mr. Collins smiled and said, "Knowledge is power, lad. But discipline is the sword that makes knowledge useful." Those words changed Ethan's perspective. He began not only to study, but to train his mind. Each failure became a lesson. Each mockery became fuel. He fell many times, but each time he forced himself to rise again. The struggle was endless, but slowly, painfully, he was changing. Months turned into a year. The Ethan people once mocked was no longer the same. His body grew stronger, his mind sharper, and his spirit unbreakable. He wasn't just preparing for exams anymore. He was preparing for life. Every day became a battle, but he had learned to fight with discipline and persistence. When exams came again, Ethan didn't just walk into the hall. He marched like a soldier ready for war. While others panicked, he was calm. He had trained too hard to let fear control him. Weeks later, results arrived. His hands trembled as he opened the envelope. For the first time in his life, he didn't see failure. He saw victory. Not the highest grades, but proof that he was capable. Proof that he could change his destiny. His father stared in disbelief. His mother cried tears of pride. And Ethan smiled for the first time in years. But he wasn't done. This was just the beginning. Ethan took his lessons beyond the classroom. He joined debate clubs, volunteered at community centers, and began inspiring others who felt broken like he once had. His story spread. People whispered not about his failures anymore, but about his rise. Years later, he stood at a national youth conference facing thousands of students. His journey had turned him into a leader, a motivator. With confidence in his voice, he said, "Once, I was told I would never succeed. Once I was laughed at, mocked, and even forgotten. But I refused to break. I chose to fight, to learn, to grow. And today, I stand here not as someone special, but as proof that anyone can rise from the ashes. Remember this. You are stronger than your pain, greater than your failure. And no matter how dark it gets, you can always come back stronger." The hall erupted with applause. Ethan had transformed his scars into strength, his failures into fuel, and his weakness into power. That night, as he looked at the city lights of London, he whispered to himself, "I was broken, but I came back stronger."